Recent years have seen more of the release of lesbian romance. And you have films like Portrait of a Lady on Fire and Carol and Disobedience, Vita and Virginia. It's not uncommon, a thing these days, to find a Sapphic film or TV show to watch that at least has those characters within it. The truth is that while not as well known as other classic films from the history of the movie and TV world, the industry has been making LGBTQ films from the very start, albeit for quite a long time coded. But today's video, we will be talking about one such film. A short while ago, last year to be precise, while looking for a subject to write for a Patreon article, I stumbled on a German film from 1972 called The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, directed by Rainer Fassbinder, based on his play. The film has an all-female cast, and it is set in the home of the narcissistic protagonist, Petra von Kant, a prominent fashion designer based in Bremen, Germany. At the time of his death from a drug overdose, at only 37, Fassbinder left some 40 features, a pair of TV miniseries, and 24 stage plays, but none were more Fassbinderian than this German writer-director's 1972 film, The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, part confession and part travesty, based on Fassbinder's play. Inspired by his obsession with a young member of his stock company, Petra von Kant is a chamber drama with a 6-member all-female cast. Its lengthy takes set entirely in the ulterior of the titular fashion designer and directorial alter ego. It's a berserk, angry, funny, and exhausting analysis of a sadomasochistic power games, masquerading as loving relationships. Petra's story is told in a theatre-like fashion in 4 different acts, each depicting the states of mind of the main character, hinted visually by her clothes and hair. The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant was well liked. Even Variety thawed out, commenting, "It's so very human," before reminding readers that it contained quite a bit of lesbian love, yet is never disgusting. Thanks for the warning. Yikes. The film is almost totally restricted to Petra's apartment bedroom, decorated by a massive reproduction of Nicolas Poussin's Midas and Bacchus, which depicts naked and partially clothed men and women. The room also contains numerous life-size mannequins that Petra uses for her work. Petra's marriages have ended in death or divorce. Her first husband, Pierre, was a great love, who died in a car accident while Petra was pregnant. The second began the same way, but it ended in disaster. Petra lives with Marlena, another designer whom she treats like, quite frankly, a slave. And this relationship reveals Petra's sadistic, codependent tendencies. Petra is shown being awakened by Marlena. She begins her day and gets dressed while her assistant attends to her. Petra makes a phone call to her mother, makes demands of Marlena, including slow dancing, okay, and dons a brown wig just before she receives a visitor. Petra talks to Sydney, her cousin, about her male relationships. I think at this point we can safely assume that Petra either is bisexual or pan, or maybe I would actually argue that she's actually kind of more of a free spirit who doesn't actually label who she is. She just falls and then just goes with it. Meanwhile, Marlena does the work and acts as hostess. Karen Thim, Sydney's friend, joins the women. Karen, newly returned to Germany after residing in Sydney for 5 years, is a desirable but shallow 23-year-old woman. Petra, immediately attracted to Karen at this first meeting, suggests Karen become a model. Smooth, Petra, smooth. Karen arrives to return the following day. Petra quickly falls madly in love with Karen. Of course she does. Who hasn't sunk in love after an hour of meeting someone? The next day, with Marlena showing more evident signs of frustration, but still typing, Petra, now wearing a more massive and dark wig, offers to support Karen while she trains to be a model. Karen's husband, yes, she has a husband, of course she does, has remained in Sydney. Convenient. It's not a great idea, but I guess he didn't predict Petra. It's important to note that Petra is momentarily put off by this revelation, but only momentarily. Okay? Because she's Petra. She must have everything and everyone that she wants. The women soon show their incompatibility. Petra had a happy childhood and came from a home where the good things in life were always stressed. Karen's father was a toolmaker and she always felt neglected by her parents. Petra loved mathematics and algebra at school, but Karen could never understand algebra and the point of substituting letters for numbers. Petra has a daughter, whom she rarely sees, but reassures herself that her daughter is at the best possible boarding school. Because what is better than a mother's love, the cold, harsh reality of boarding school? Karen's parents are now both dead. She says people reject her when they find out about her history, but Petra admits to great affection for her, even stronger after having heard her family's history. Petra orders Marlena to get a bottle of sect. Karen goes into more detail about her parents' death. Her father was laid off because of his age. In a drunken stupor, he killed Karen's mother and then hanged himself. Karen feels she has drifted in her life. Her husband in Sydney treated her as a slave and offered no reprieve from her past. But Petra insists this is about to change. Of course it is. Sweep her off her feet, Petra. Marlena returns with the bottle. In a more relaxed, silently, returns to her typing. And the other two women toast each other. Petra promises to make Karen a great model. Marlena, previously hidden by a curtain, stops typing and glares at Petra while listening to a record. Petra says life is predestined. People are brutal and hard, and everyone is replaceable. Petra, discovering the expense of Karen's hotel, suggests she move in with her after a day. Marlena resumes her typing, but after Karen agrees to move in with Petra, she is ordered to bring more sect. While Petra admits to being in love with Karen, remember, one day. Maybe not even a day. It's a day. Karen herself can only say she likes Petra. Because, it's been one day. She's wise not to commit to great gestures of love. And 6 months or so pass by. Petra, now resplendent in a red wig, is getting dressed, while Karen is in bed reading a color magazine. Petra cancels a flight to Madrid over the phone, a habit which Karen thinks is pointless, and Petra orders Marlena to find her shoes. Karen thinks Marlena is strange, but Petra reassures her that Marlena loves her. Karen still cannot say she loves Petra, probably because she doesn't. Karen's capacity for cruelty emerges while the two drink gin and tonic together. Yes, that combination of drinks that just brings out the worst in people. The previous night, Karen had been out until 6 a.m. and admits to having slept with a man. Yikes. Though she keeps changing her precise story, Petra is jealous and shouts at Marlena. Freddy, Karen's husband, telephones from Zurich. It emerges they have been in contact by letter and Karen is no longer planning on getting a divorce, and she is rejoining her husband instead. Petra calls her a, quoting this, rotten little whore. And Karen responds that being with Petra is less strenuous than walking the streets. Yikes. She asks Petra to book a flight to Frankfurt, where she is to meet her husband, and asks for 500 drachmas, though Petra freely gives her twice that. Marlena drives Karen to the airport. Petra is now too drunk to drive. That's kind of depressing, isn't it?
Bin ich gemein, ich sag die Wahrheit, Petra. Lüg mich an. Bitte lüg mich an.
You kind of want to feel sorry for her, but also you kind of don't. You're like stuck in this place where she kind of, she convinced herself, I think, that she loved this woman, because I don't think she did. But anyway. And she was just used. Oh, sad. Hey, taste of her own medicine, maybe. On Petra's birthday, the bedroom is almost empty. Petra, lying on the floor, now wearing a blonde wig, is drinking heavily while assuming that Karen, her object of love and hate, will phone. Her daughter Gabby arrives. Petra tells her little. Gabby admits to being in love with a young man, though so far it's unrequited. Oh, Gabby. Yes, we understand unrequited love more than you could know. Sydney appears with a birthday present, a doll with blonde hair like Karen's. She admits to knowing Karen is in Bremen that day. Petra's mother, Valerie, is subject to abuse in her turn. Petra accuses her of being a whore who never worked and lived off her husband. She's a really nice lady. Petra tramples on China tea service Marlena had brought in. She insists on smashing anything she has brought. Petra insists she is not crazy about Karen, but loved her. Yeah. She claims Karen's little finger is worth all of them put together. It was kind of interesting to note at this point that as human beings, we kind of tend to romanticize the people who kind of treat us like dirt, and the people who are actually good and kind to us, we trample them into the. I mean, I feel like that's something that I kind of learned. We always crave the people who don't want us. It kind of is the people who are there for us, who are nice, who are decent. They get the crap that we want to give to the person who's left, who doesn't want us, because we want them, but they don't want us. It's sad. Her mother, previously unaware of Karen, is shocked at the thought of her daughter being in love with another woman. Yikes. Petra rejects Sydney and hopes not to see her again. But Sydney stays. Later that same night, Petra lies in bed without a wig. Her natural open hair on display. She is apologetic to her mother and realizes she wanted to possess Karen rather than love her. Karen rings and Petra amicably declines to see her before she leaves for Paris. Petra instead offers the chance that they will meet again in the future. Petra turns to Marlena after her mother has gone and admits she has to apologize to her for many things.
Meine Tochter liebt ein Mädchen. Seltsam.
It will be different from now on, Petra promises, adding that she will share her life with Marlena, but Marlena, who has satisfied her personal masochistic desire in submitting to Petra, packs her meager belongings, including, notably, a pistol. We never find out what that's for. In her small suitcase and leaves, taking the doll with her. I like to think that the pistol is like because she's like some kind of Olympic shooter or something, or some kind of undercover FBI agent, and not actually something really depressing like Marlena just can't live without her because she can't. I think that's probably the best thing about this movie, that kind of leaves it to your imagination. The film itself is less about sexuality and gayness and more about love and class. It's just Fassbinder created an all-female cast and made it sapphic. The characters aren't there as a protest about how the LGBTQ community was treated then and their fight for equality. They were just characters living a life, which one could say is enough of a protest, because most members of the LGBT community don't live their life by their labels. We live and exist as ourselves. It's very off-putting when a minority character is just there to point out the oppression they face, and that's it. Minority characters are worth far more than that, and have stories worth telling that goes beyond a label. Because while that has its place, it's refreshing that in the early 1970s, this was so natural in the bitter tears of Petra von Kant. This is actually a really worthwhile film watching, actually. It's really interesting. And probably worth a rewatch, actually, by me. So it's, it doesn't have the best of endings, I guess, but we're kind of sold on this fairy tale idea that everything has to be a happy ending, and life right now especially is like shit, and everyone wants that happy watch. But also, I kind of live for the drama. I gotta tell you, I live for the drama. When life doesn't have guaranteed happy endings, I don't know, you can just put on a film and watch an unhappy ending, and it doesn't really affect you for longer than like you're watching that film. And this is a really good films. The characters are really interesting. Petra is this character you kind of want to smack, and also just smack her again across the face, okay? But yeah, if you ever get a chance to watch this movie, because it's actually really good, and it's well acted, and it's a really interesting take on something that actually wasn't really being done, and isn't done a lot even today. Going kind of more in depth. Everything's always about kind of oppression and why things weren't allowed. There's a lot of historical lesbian romances out now, and it's like, okay, I get it. They weren't allowed to kiss. I get it, okay? I know. The next time, stay safe, take care. I'll see you in the next one.